guys, I'm just setting up the camera so that you guys can see everything. There we go. So, as you can see, we have a red drip cake here, and we're just gonna be doing the finishing decorations. I did most of it yesterday, but I had to change the board, and the board was arriving, it arrived at about 12, so I couldn't do the drip because I had to flip the cake over and put it on the new board. So now we can do the drip and also the final decorations. So that's what we're going to be doing in the live. If you joined yesterday, then you would have seen me icing this on yesterday's live, but if you haven't watched that, then feel free to go and check that out. But yeah, right, let me just grab a few bits. Sorry, just washing my hands, and I just closed the door because I had the door open because it's really humid. Like anyone in the UK, most of you probably are, you'll know that it's really humid and like muggy, so because it's been hot the past few days. So yeah, that is what I've been dealing with. So we can now start. I'm just trying to set up this tripod so that you guys can see a bit better. So I'm gonna move this further back, so I think you can see that we can move it as and when. So I've got my drip here. It is just the usual, which is cooking chocolate and a little bit of oil, which I have here, which is vegetable oil, because it doesn't have like a smell, whereas if you use any other oil like coconut oil or olive oil, they tend to have a smell, which I find obviously won't work for a cake. So that doesn't seem to kind of smell of much, so I think it's the best thing to use. And then I've used the red extra sugar flare, and I found, because I've never used it in a drip, I found that it hasn't seized, or like it hasn't gone like really stiff, so fingers crossed it drips well, because I haven't used it before. So because when you're working with chocolate, you want to use something that has very low like water content, because like Colour Splash has quite high water content, so if you add it to your drips, sometimes it can just make it really thick. So, and it's going to be fully coloured on top, so we don't have to worry too much about covering the middle. I'm just going to focus on the drips around the edge. I just need to mark where the front is. So I have done the front as, where is it? Here. And I also need to get my iPad so that I can read the comments. Right. Bear with, I don't usually go live during the day, so I'm not prepared at all. I'm just going to bring up the chat on here so that if you have any questions, you can ask throughout. So, there we go. Hi to Serena. Right, there we go. So now I can see all the chat, which is good. Right, we're just going to go in with the drip. I just use a spoon, it's just what I prefer. And I always start to one side just in case it goes wrong, because then I can redo it and it's on the side of the cake. Perfect. Right, that's the right consistency, so I'm happy with that. It's all coming out. Right. I'll answer comments in a minute once we start decorating. Just the drip takes so much concentration because it's on a cold cake, so if it starts to harden slightly, then you're stuffed basically. So you have to make sure that the drips go down the side of the cake quickly, otherwise they're not going to drip far enough and the drip's going to set. So I will answer the chat in a minute. So as you can see, I just push it to the edges and it just falls over the edge basically, and it's as simple as that. You have to be careful that you don't knock any like remnants off the spoon onto the side of the cake, because once it sets it's really hard to get off. So that's why I always scrape the spoon on the jug to try and make sure that nothing drips off. And I just like shimmy it like that until it's like as long as I want it to be. Right, there's one drip which has gone a bit funny, so I'm just gonna try and scrape it off whilst it's still cold. So if any don't go the way you want, just get something that isn't too sharp because you don't want it to scrape the cake, and literally just wipe it. So what I've done here is I've just scraped that, and as you can see it's kind of just like peeling off, which is good because it's not too set. So if any go wrong, just make sure you get on them very quickly and then they'll come off, but most of the time it's very difficult to get them off. So I'm just gonna do that one again. And the trick is, if you go over the same spot, then obviously your drip is going to hide the next one. So just waiting for that one to stop dripping. There you go. Right, so that is the drip done. Right, so now we want to do the frosting on the top. I've got some frosting in the microwave because it's been in the fridge, so I was just doing like 10-second bursts. So I'm going to go back to that to make sure that it's not hard, and then I can mix it again and add a bit more colouring. I've also got a bit of white in the fridge, and we're doing a covered board, like a fully covered board. So I'm going to shove this back in the fridge just so that it's not uncovered at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you over to the microwave, just so that I can do all this stuff and not have to leave you there just sat doing nothing. If you can see anything in the background, please excuse it. The kitchen is extremely messy. I need to do a full cleanup once this cake has gone. So, right, I'm just going to heat up this icing and then hopefully we will be able to mix it. It's actually not too hard anyway because I left it at room temperature. I'm just going to do it in 15-second bursts. Mona said, "Hi Amy, I would like to say a big thank you for all your videos and the advanced package I ordered on Etsy. They are very helpful for me and I had my inspection and got 5 stars. Thank you." That's amazing. I'm so glad. Like, I get so many messages from people saying that you got 5 stars, so I'm so pleased that the videos are helpful. And yeah, thank you for purchasing the package. If anyone's confused, that it's the package that I sell on Etsy. I have various ones on there, and it's basically the admin side of a business. So you have all of your like spreadsheets, accounts, that kind of thing, and that's what that package is. But yeah, I've linked it down below. It will be in one of my videos. It might not be in this one, but yeah, it will be in one of them if you're curious. Right, so I am going to mix this icing because just being in the microwave just makes it a bit soft, and then you still have to like re-whip it. I need a bowl, and my bowls are all dirty. Right, bowl. So we have our icing. This is the leftovers, so it is a mix of colours. It was a mix of white and red from yesterday, so. And then I'm gonna add some extra colour to it. Some extra red, I think, to make it a bit darker. And then I've got a bit of white in the fridge, so what I'll probably do is use the white for the board, use the red for the top of the cake, and then yeah, I can use red and white for the board because the board is obviously covered, so it's going to be mixed. So if anyone has any questions, now is probably the best time to ask because I haven't got the cake out. I'm just mixing, so let me know if you have any questions. So I probably melted this for maybe like a minute and a half altogether, but in 15-second bursts, so it melted quite nicely. It wasn't too hard because sometimes when you put it in the fridge it just goes rock hard. So that's the first lot. Now we're going to add a little bit more. Got so much stuff in front of me. So get a spoon. Right. I'm just getting any lumps out before I add any colour. Gosh, it's hurting my arm. So tired. Right. Move you out the way. I also got some new boxes with my order that I got from Cake Decorating Co. that came today, which had the boards in it. And I got gloss boxes because they didn't have any of the matte ones. The matte ones are cheaper, and I don't think the box matters too much, so I usually just go for the matte ones because people just throw it away anyway. But I went for gloss ones, and they're actually surprisingly nice. but I'm still not sure that for 20p more per box, it's worth it. But I got matte ones, and I'll also show you how I package the cakes, because I know a lot of people ask me how I actually put my boxes up in order for it to cover tall cakes. So I'll show you how I do that as well once this is in the fridge. So we've got a very like reddy pink at the moment, so I'm gonna add more of the colouring, and I'm just using a little like cocktail stick. It's just like this, that's what I use, and then I just kind of like scrape it off, and I don't put too much in because it is actually quite pigmented, this, because it's sugar flare. Right, let's see. Didn't do very much at all. Last night when I was using it, it was very pigmented. Right, a little bit more, and let's see if that makes a difference. Might have to leave it to develop a little bit, or add a little bit of water to see whether that helps, because it hasn't changed very much at all. I'm gonna have to go and check on my dogs because I'm home alone, so my dogs are playing in the other room because I've locked them out, so I'm gonna go and quickly check on them, but I will be right back. Sorry, I'm back. I went in my mum's study and all 3 dogs were in one bed. Like, imagine a dog bed and 3 small dogs. All 3 of them were in it. That's what I could hear. I could hear them like messing around and like fighting, like play fighting, and that's what it was. They were all in one bed. Anyway, hi Amy, just wondered what the best ratio for buttercream is. It's always half butter to sugar, so example 250 butter, 500, but it never seems to have enough buttercream when I pipe. I mean, that's a standard ratio. That isn't, I wouldn't say that's a standard like quantity. I would say that you need at least 2 blocks of butter for a 4-inch cake. And that's if you've got very, like if you use a very thin layer of crumb coat. I personally use, I think it's 1 for the crumb coat, and then 1.5 blocks, and then obviously double it for the icing sugar, and then 1.5 blocks for the outside coat. And then for 6 and 8-inch cakes, because they have piping on the top, it's again roughly 2 blocks for the crumb coat, or 1.5 for a 6-inch and 2 for an 8-inch, and then 2 for the outside of both. Especially when it's like ombre, when you need different colours, you're going to need more icing. So yeah, I use a lot of butter. I would say that you're going to use, on a small cake, you would use at least 3 blocks. And I always make it in bulk. Like I made 500 grams of butter, which is 2 blocks, and I do that at a time because that's what the KitchenAid can take. It can probably take a bit more, but I don't want it going over the sides, and like especially when you've got icing clouds from the icing sugar, I just don't want to put too much in there. So I do it in batches of 500 grams of butter. And if I'm honest, I just do it by look. Some days, depending on the temperature outside, your buttercream will be a little bit softer, so you'll need more icing sugar, but most of the time I do like 750 to 500 grams of butter, but that's only if it's like a reasonably cold day. If it's a hot day, then I definitely use nearer like 800, 850. It just depends on the consistency, and it also depends on what you start with, because I melt my butter a little bit so that it's easier to mix, but some people don't. So you're gonna find that your buttercream is a lot stiffer, and by melting it a little bit, you still get the same butter content, like you still got the same amount of butter, but it will be easier to mix, and then it will harden just the same as if there was more butter, so it will stay stiff basically. As long as it's not really soft when you're actually piping it. But for the outside, for the inside, I use stiff buttercream, even when it's hot, cold, etc. But if it's hot, you want to, I mean, just in general actually, I would say the outside, you can use a softer coat because it's not going to affect the structure. Like it's not going to sink because it's on the outside, it's not in between the layers. So yeah, but it's so complicated, but because literally I've said my ratio so many times, and there's people that have tried it and it hasn't worked for them, and then there's other people who have tried it and it's like the perfect ratio. I think it just depends on like the weather, the heat, all of that. There is a fly that's just come in because I've got my door open. So yeah, it really can depend on the weather and kind of like what you start with, in terms of like how warm your butter is. Because if your block is rock hard, then your buttercream is going to be a lot stiffer. So, right, I want a little bit more colour to this because it's still not very dark. So, this fly, it's just come in. Right. Thank you so much. I only make 4-inch cakes for family, but I'll definitely make note of those quantities. I will aim for 1 block for the crumb coat and 2 blocks for the outer layer. Yeah, I mean, it just gives you plenty for like piping on top. And I mean, I always find a use for spare buttercream. Like I either use it on like some leftover cake and then make like a 1-layer cake. Literally just to slice up and eat, not for like anyone else. But if I have like a spare layer or like spare bits of cake, then you can make like cake jars, so you can always kind of use up your thing. Right, I'm going to mix a little bit of Colour Splash just because I find that it helps. So where is it? In here. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of the Colour Splash red because this icing is obviously already coloured, so I'm trying to make it darker, but because it's already coloured, it's more difficult. I feel like it's easier to start from scratch because then you know how much colouring you're adding and it's all fresh, but because I made it last night, it's trying to get it to the colour that I want. Right, a little bit more. Right, that is still not the colour that I want. Probably sound like a broken record, but it's not the red that I want. Like that sugar flare was working so well last night, but now that I'm adding it, it's just not going as dark as it did yesterday. Add a little bit of black. I'm only going to add a tiny bit because usually when I do that it goes a little bit grainy. As in like the colour goes a little bit grainy. Whereas I want that like vivid red, which I'm not getting. I might have to put it in the fridge for a little while, because because I think I did that last night. I think I put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes just to darken it. That has done a little bit, but not too much. Let's try adding a little bit more black. I think it's because I've got such a large bowl as well. So obviously you need more colouring, because I've got like about 700 grams, I think, of buttercream here roughly. Right, I need more red because it's getting a bit of a grey tone from the black. Right, I'm going to add a bit more red and then it's going to go in the fridge because I don't want to add any more colouring to it. Because I find it always darkens in the fridge. So I don't want it to darken once it's on the cake. I want it to darken before. Right, that's what we've got so far. It looks similar in person, but it still doesn't look dark enough. So, do we have space in here? Right. I'm just going to have a bit of orange juice. Quick warning, it is mine, so I'm just going to drink it out of the bottle because it's only me drinking it. Right, any questions? So, I'm struggling with vegan buttercream. The plant-based block margarine was recommended, but it's still too soft. I think I have some of that. Let me just check it's the same one. Is that what you're on about? Is it the stalk one? I've tried the microwaving technique. It always separates, and I worry that once it's separated, it's just going to like not kind of go back. Once I've mixed it, I always like when it looks mixed, and then as soon as it starts to separate in the microwave, it just worries me that it's not going to set the same way, and it always looks a bit grainy where it's separated. Yeah, that's the only thing that I worry about. I find that the fridge does work, it's just a bit of a pain because obviously the microwave would probably be quicker. Oh, you're in Canada. I mean, if you can find stalk in Canada, that's what you want. But this, I find it has to be a block. I think that's what you're on about. But yeah, it might just be that you need more icing sugar. I use this because it's vegan, and I use exactly the same amount of icing sugar as I would normally, and it works perfectly. I've never had any issues, so it might be the block that you're using. I can't think of anything else. And I also don't use any shortening. I don't know what that is. I know like what it is, but I don't know what that one is that you're mentioning. Crisco. I've heard of shortening in general, but yeah, I don't add anything other than icing sugar and butter, like vegan butter, and then add the flavouring that you're adding. But apart from that, I don't add anything else. That is so refreshing. It's fresh orange juice and it's just so good. Oh, it's Crumbs and Doyley's recipe. That's really interesting. I've never heard of anyone, like I follow Crumbs and Doyley's, but like I don't, I haven't tried any of their recipes. But I didn't know that they put shortening in their vegan icing. That's really interesting. I've never tried that. Is it like a powder? Like, because then obviously the icing sugar ratio will be different if you're adding a powder to the icing. Right. I'm going to prep my piping bags. We're doing white chocolate all over the cake, so it's going to have just various different white chocolate, and it's also got some bottles, we've got sprinkles, so that's the theme of it. I got some new sprinkles as well, the PME ones, just because I wanted red ones, and I've already got quite a few sprinkles, but in terms of red ones I don't have that many, so I wanted some more. Someone's shouting in the park because I live right next to a park. Right, what nozzle are we using? Bear with me, I'm going to find a nozzle because I don't know where I've put it. Actually, I found it. We got it. I'm going to put that block that I was mentioning back in the fridge. To be fair, now it's next to the cake, it doesn't look that much not red, if that makes sense. Now that it's next to the cake that it's going on, which is quite interesting. And obviously the more it's left in the fridge, the darker it'll go. So as soon as I get it on that cake, it's got an hour and a half until it's being collected. So then it will get darker and darker. So I always do that. I never cut the hole big enough. Right. I need a cup because there we go. Move you out of the way. Right, we're going to go with that because I don't want to add too much colouring because I've added quite a lot, so I don't like to add too much to the icing because it starts to change the consistency once you add too much, and also you're not allowed to add too much as well. So right, I'm using non-reusable piping bags because my reusable ones, I've cut holes in them and the nozzle hole is too big, which is a right pain. So I need to get some more reusable ones now because this nozzle doesn't fit. So I'm going to fill up 2 bags for the top of the cake. Right. And we'll probably have a bit spare, probably for the board. Right. Do you think the colour changes the taste of buttercream sometimes? I've never found that, only if I'm doing black, because I use black cocoa powder, which changes the taste a little bit. But apart from that, every other colour I haven't, but that's why I was sort of saying that I don't want to add too much, because I do worry that if you add way too much, then it's going to change the taste. But I try and steer away from adding too much so that it doesn't affect it in any way. Right, so what we're doing, I keep hitting the, right, so I've got 1 bag with the nozzle in, like so, and then I'm going to put these bags inside, and that's just so that when I run out I can swap it over and not have to have a new bag and the hassle of like changing the nozzle again. Right, So here is the front. And I always start at the side. Right, so we've done the first like ring, and then when I put bits on the top I'll add more to like secure it, but that's the basic ring that we're going for. So I'm going to tilt you down again so that you can see a bit better what I'm doing. Right, let me just clear up this area. I'm making a cake similar style to this next week. Any tips for the drips? What do you use to make the drips? If you rewind after you finish watching, you can kind of see the drip process, but I use chocolate, white chocolate with oil, but you have to be very careful with it because sometimes the oil can separate, so you have to make sure that you're not adding it when the chocolate's too hot, but also don't add it when the chocolate is starting to set, like if it's just cooling down and it's just going to go hard. So you have to kind of get it at the in-between point. So I typically mix it really fast to get lots of like cold air into it once it comes out the microwave, and make sure that you take a while to melt it, like 20-second intervals basically, to get it nicely melted without burning it, because again if you burn it then that affects the drip. But yeah, then just add colouring, and that's pretty much it. I use a spoon for mine just because I prefer it. If you have multiple cakes to make and be collected for that day, do you make all the cakes the same day and decorate or bake them all the day before? I bake them all the same day, if they're all going out on the same day, and then I crumb coat them all the night before, and then only if they're being collected in the morning will they be decorated the day before. If they're being collected in the evening, then they get decorated on that day. So I just basically decorate them in order of which ones are being collected first. That's pretty much it. So yes. And any tips for good buttercream? Honestly, just add icing sugar until you get a good consistency. And that's pretty much it. Like I do a 1:2 ratio pretty much, but I do wangle it sometimes because if it's getting a bit too stiff, then I won't add as much icing sugar. And it depends what flavouring you're adding, and also if you're doing like white chocolate buttercream, then obviously you're going to be adding liquid white chocolate, so you don't need to have it as soft, because when you add the liquid it's going to get softer. But if you're not adding any type of liquid, then you'll need to work out whether it's too stiff or not to pipe. A lot of the time you'll find that if you're piping it out of a nozzle, it won't come out if it's too stiff, so you just need to decide whether it's too stiff or not. So I'm just using Sprinkler UK sprinkles as usual, so I will show you them as we go. So these are the white pearls, and they're just tiny little white pearls. Then we have some gold balls. Right, now I know where the front is. I've got quite a few bottles, so I just need to work out which ones I want where. I think that one needs to go on there. Some of them are a bit big for the board. don't think I'm going to use all of these. I might just give her some back just because I think it's going to look too crowded if I put them all on there. Right, do I want, I think I want you at the front. I think I need to move that now. Okay, I'm not sure which bottles I'm putting on it because there's so many. So I'm going to put those two on it for now and see how we go. I just started out and completed registration. Start date isn't until July 1st and have been advised it's low risk. I don't need an inspection yet. Do you think I'll have one? You'll definitely have one because you have to. They will have to do it as a legality. But basically what they're saying is because there's more high risk people, so like obviously restaurants are all opening, so they're going to be more worried about all the restaurants. So what they're going to do is inspect all the restaurants first and then they'll come to you afterwards. Or like once they've done most of the restaurants, then they'll move to you. So yeah, that's basically what it is. It's not that they won't come to you, it's just that they won't come yet. How much did you pay for the sprinkles and how many grams are they? Let me get a new pack. So each of these, and I buy literally hundreds of them because you can get loads of different designs. Each of them is, it doesn't say how many grams. It's a sample bag basically. So I think it's about 25, but as you can see, you get quite a lot in there. Right, I'm going to do a little bit of piping on the board, so I need another nozzle. Bear with. I'm not sure where I put my nozzles. Where are all my nozzles? there's a fly in here and it's really annoying me because it's got in somehow. My nozzle is in here, one of them. I don't know where my other one is. This is the pain of baking, is trying to find stuff. Right, we're giving up on that nozzle because I can't find it. I just need another one because I want to do like a decorative board. So many nozzles and I have no idea what some of them are. I think we're going to try these ones. So, just take that out of there and then reuse the bag. So, okay, that one's too big for that. There we go. Alright, next colour. Do you do this full time? If so, from what day do you start and finish a work day? If I'm honest, I can't tell you. Like I honestly don't know. It depends how many cakes you've got, how many orders you've got. Some days it can be, you know, literally 7 AM until like 9 PM. So it can be like 12, 14-hour days, but then other days it will be like 6 hours. And also it depends what you're doing. So like some days I'm just baking cakes, some days I'm decorating them. So certain things take longer than others. So it really just depends how much you've got on and how busy you are. But like today it's 3:45 and I started around 10 and then I'm probably going to be done by about 5. So that isn't a long day, I would say. So yeah, it just depends. Right, so I need this white. I'm gonna microwave this a little, not in this bowl because it's metal, but I'm gonna quickly go and microwave this a little, just to soften it, and then I will be back to finish. Right, so I just did 30 seconds in two 15-second bursts, and that was perfect. I find that if you do it in smaller amounts, then it doesn't separate as much. Like this hasn't separated at all, but the last time I did any microwaving of buttercream, it just separated, so that's interesting. Would you do the market again? By the way, love how the cake's looking. I would definitely do a market again. I wouldn't do that market because I personally like something that's well organised. Like, I'm quite an organised person, so when I go to an event, I would expect it to be very well organised, and that one wasn't. There was a lot of information that wasn't necessarily explained, which I'm going to talk about in the podcast because I'm filming one this afternoon, and then I'm hoping that I can get it up by tomorrow just as an extra one, and then there will be a normal one on Sunday, just to explain like the past couple of weeks, because I have had 2 weeks off the podcast, so it's just going to explain what I've been doing, like being busy, and also just like updates about like the market, because yeah, there were quite a few things that were badly organised, and I've done a couple of markets now, so I could compare that one, and it definitely wasn't the best one that I've been to. I mean, I made my money back, I definitely made a profit, but I wasn't that pleased with how well it was organised. I definitely think I could have done a little bit better, but yeah, that's just me. Other people might have done it and thought that it was great, but yeah, I thought it wasn't greatly organised. Right, another piping bag for the white. So there is my cup. There is a lot to go on this cake. There's a lot more chocolate going on it. There's a cake topper, which I need to make. Yeah, there is a lot more. So it will look much different to how it's looking now. Right. So white, we're just going to fill in the gaps basically. So Right, so that is all the piping done. Now we just have to add all the toppings, sprinkles. Right, so we have chocolate fingers, which I'm going to be putting on. So, with these bottles, and then I think we're going to go for you on this side. Need a little bit of piping. Right. These gloves are worse than just using my hands. I always try to use gloves when I can, but sometimes they're just way more hassle. Around how much would you charge for the cake you're decorating? Give me 1 minute and I can literally check. I'll just get my order book. So this cake is £60. However, it would be a bit more. It's because I booked her in before I upped my prices. Whereas now this would be between 65 and 70. I don't know whether to lay this down. I'm thinking. Okay, we're going for it. We're going for it. We've done it now. Right. Is a website necessary when starting out? No, it's definitely not necessary. I didn't have a website until maybe like, what was it? Like December. So that's like 6 months after I started trading is when I got a website. So it's definitely not necessary. It depends what you're doing. Like I was obviously doing postals, so I needed a website because I was doing postals. But if you're not doing postals, then I don't think you would necessarily need a website that soon. I'm going to wash my hands. Right. yeah, like I say, I don't think a website is necessary, especially not in the beginning, because it's another cost. Because what you need to work out is websites aren't typically free. Like websites are usually a monthly payment, so you don't want to be paying a monthly payment before you're getting a reasonable amount of money back. Whereas I only got the website after I was doing postals, because obviously I was getting money back from doing the postals, so it was worth it. What are my favourite things to bake? It will have to be cakes. Yeah, I prefer doing cakes over anything else. Just because I like the decorating side. The only thing I like to bake, like literally just the baking side, is brownies, because they're easy. But anything else I don't particularly like baking. I definitely prefer the decorating side, but obviously in order to decorate you need to be able to bake. So right, what are your thoughts on credit card for the business? Would you get one for like business expenses? I might get one when I'm a bit more established, but I definitely don't think it's necessary when you're starting out. Because I actually spoke to my bank, because my bank knows that I don't have a business account, and obviously when you have a business account you pay fees, which will be the same with a credit card. Obviously credit card, there's interest on that, and it can sometimes be quite high, because it really depends on your credit rating. My credit rating is quite good because I've had finance, I've had loans, and credit is all based on you having debt and then you paying it back. So like I got my car on finance with the bank so that it would build up my credit rating, because making those monthly payments is no different to me buying it outright, but it obviously increases your credit rating. So it's better to have finance rather than if you've got the money to just buy it outright, because otherwise it doesn't improve your rating at all. So yeah, and like things like direct debits are good to have. This is like off the top of my head that I can think of, but yeah, I've got like direct debits for various things like phones, stuff like that, so that all helps your credit rating. But yeah, if you don't have a good credit rating, then your credit card interest will be really, really high, and then there won't be any point in having it. But yeah, my bank didn't have a problem with me having all of my expenses come through my personal account. They said obviously when you get a bit bigger and you're bringing even more money in, they would suggest that I move over. So she was saying maybe in the next like year I move over to having a business account just because they think it would be better. Obviously you do pay fees on that, so it works out better for them anyway, but yeah, at the moment I'm just sticking to a normal account. What do I want to put? I want to put some more bits on it. I'm just trying to work out what goes. They didn't want any nut things on it because they just don't like nuts. It's not that they're allergic or anything, but they just don't like things like Kinder Bueno or anything. So I've tried to keep it all to white chocolate. I've literally almost used a whole box of lint. I think I'm going to put a bit gold leaf on it. Because I just think gold leaf goes great on everything. Do you prefer cash or card? I prefer card just because I pay cash into the bank, so it's not helpful. You know, like obviously most people might keep the cash, but yeah, I just pay it into the bank, so it's not like it's helpful to keep it. So yeah, I prefer card, and I always take payment in advance. I never take payment on the day. So again, if someone wants to bring cash, they have to be able to bring it in advance, which most people don't want to. Most of the time when people want to bring cash, it means that they have to be available to bring it before they're collecting the cake. So most of the time they just prefer to transfer. Right, I'm going to quickly shove this in the fridge because it's quite humid out and it needs to go back in, just to set a little bit before I do anything else with it. Right. Can leave that in the fridge for a minute, just because it's so humid out and I don't want the buttercream to soften. I'm just going to tidy up, so I'm going to put a few more chocolates on the cake just to fill in any gaps, but I just want to give it a quick 10 minutes in the fridge. So if anyone has any questions, let me know whilst I'm just tidying up. while that's in the fridge, I'm going to show you how I do my box because I want to prep it. So right, stapler. So I staple, oh, I need staples, that would be helpful. I'm running to get staples. Right. How did I manage that? When you do your cakes, what flavours do you do? Do you mean like just like what ones I offer? The same with buttercream. I've got like 15, so off the top of my head, Victoria Sponge, double chocolate, which is milk chocolate and white chocolate buttercream with chocolate sponge, chocolate orange, salted caramel, chocolate Nutella, white chocolate and raspberry, lemon, Biscoff, I think that's mostly it. I can't think of any others, but that's most of them. This stapler is so temperamental. I'm not having the best of luck with this stapler. It is... I don't know why it's struggling to keep these staples in here. Yay, I thought I was going to miss this live due to school. Oh, I'm glad that you managed to make it before we finished. This stapler, guys, this stapler is killing me. Like, I'm in a rush and it just won't work. Just keeps getting caught. Right, let's try again. I need a new stapler, I think. Right, so you've got the base, and then what you do is you unpick these. So you take it off like so, take it off at this corner. I staple here because, as you can see, it bends. So I staple there so that it doesn't bend anymore. And then you staple this to the back of your box. Right, so looks like so. And then what you do is you put your cake in there, and then I sellotape cling film to the back, pull the cling film over the front, and then sellotape it around the front here. So super easy. Right, I'm just doing my allergen label. I've stuck it to my business card. Right. And then I'm just going to put this box to one side now that it's all done. Right, so I'm just going to add a few more chocolates, just anywhere that is looking sparse. How much have I missed? Quite a bit. We have almost finished the decorating. However, you can always go back and watch after we're finished. So it's not too bad. You haven't missed too much. They don't match. So just adding a few more sprinkles here and there. And then there will be a topper on it, but you guys won't see that because I'll be doing that once I've come off live. Damn, I say you put the buttercream on yesterday, but was hoping to see you decorate. Yeah, I did the buttercream last night, and then it's because it's going at 5, so that's why I'm decorating it now, because it's going at 5. So yeah, otherwise it would have been too late to decorate. Right. Right, I think that is everything. I will do a video for my Instagram, so if you don't follow that, then go and check that out. But there'll be a video on my Instagram of it all finished and all the photos and everything. But yeah, this is what it looks like at the moment. It's just going to have a topper on it. I need to shove it back in the fridge and finish the topper, and she's collecting at 5, so I'm going to come off of live just because live always takes me longer to do stuff. So yeah, and I don't want to obviously be late, so I'm going to shove this back in the fridge whilst I do the topper. Someone said, where'd you get your toppers from? I make them all, which is why I've got to come off live, because I need to go and make it on the Cricut. I use the Explore Air 2 and it takes me about 10 minutes. But yeah, so I make all my own toppers using card and the Cricut. So I'm going to do a very quick tidy up and then I need to go and do this topper. So I will see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed. For anyone that missed any of the live, feel free to go back and watch. I will upload it onto YouTube, and then you should be able to go back and watch whenever you want to. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my video that I am uploading tomorrow. I'm uploading a vlog tomorrow, and I'm also uploading a podcast. So there'll be 2 things tomorrow. I'll announce them on my Instagram, so if you don't follow that already, it's sweetthingsbyamy. And yeah, I will see you in my next upload. Have a nice rest of your day. Hope the customer loves their cake, and I'll definitely be watching more of your lives. Thank you. Yeah, I hope she loves it too, and she's coming to collect it very, very soon. So I will be posting it on my Instagram once she's okayed it all. So yeah, I will see you later. Bye.